And thank you for reinforcing the points that have been made already on collaboration and integration, reinforcing the importance of really thinking through climate change and climate finance, and touching on the point of youth and the importance of the voice of youth. And on that note, I'd like to invite our fourth panelist, Mr. Yacouba Ibrahim Oumarou, to make his presentation.
Merci.
Thank you. Moderator, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished delegates. My name is Ibrahim Oumarou Yacouba, and I'm from Niger, which is a landlocked country in West Africa. I'm here representing the stakeholder group of communities discriminated on work and descent. Hence, my intervention will be on African countries, on LDCs, and on LLDCs. Making up for lost ground and achieving the SDGs as well. Throughout West Africa, there are groups that are known as, through many names. They're called Hareten in Mauritania, in Limal Min or Jongo in Niger, and there are many other variations of these names as well. These people are distinguished purely and simply due to the fact that they're born into a caste that is deemed to be the lowest section of the society. That caste is inherited by descendant, and it is characterized by certain professions, and they're also called former slaves by dominant groups. When these groups try to liberate themselves, then they're violently repressed to establish what is considered as the good social order. But this phenomenon is not relegated to Africa. There are the Quilombola communities in Latin America, for example, the Dalit community in Asia, or the Buraku in Japan, or the Romani people living in Europe and throughout the world, who are all peoples that have similar experiences. When it comes to the right of communities of descent, I'm an expert on such communities and a musician and an artist. I've toured in West Africa under the name of Sage Soldat, and I recommend tapping into the energy of music and art to reach some of the most marginalized communities. But investment can't stop with basic services. We also need to finance and tap into the power of arts and music. We can change the world one song at a time. That's my answer to the situation. Above all, I speak to young people. I do so through good rhythms and through dark humor, which is often necessary when genuine opportunities are lacking. My songs call upon people not to fall into the trap of extremism and to avoid the enemies of peace. This is a crucial point for the future of Sahel. That's why I recently recorded a song, and its title is "An Enemy of the People is a Terrorist," and you can see that on YouTube. Secondly, through the study that we carried out in the Sahel region on climate change, I would like to share the following three salient points. Throughout the world, it is the poorest communities and the most vulnerable communities that disproportionately suffer from the effects of climate change due to their lack of resources to cope with these effects and to adapt to them. Climate injustice is inextricably linked with systemic discrimination, which governs the unequal socioeconomic positions within a society. The increase in desertification and the subsequent drop in soil fertility have reduced crop yields and increased malnutrition. The result of this is that the education of these former slaves cannot be financed. That fact perpetuates their vulnerability. Furthermore, there's a lack of land titles and ownership, which prevails in all of these communities. That fact also leads to a lack of motivation needed to do the hard work needed to avoid soil erosion and soil degradation. Therefore, I have a second recommendation. It is to establish clear land titles for everyone. above all, to protect the most marginalized, especially in communities of descent. I have a third recommendation as well, calling for the recognition of the hierarchical oppression of these pre-colonial forms of slavery which continue to exist today. It is only by acknowledging the existence of this phenomenon and putting in place mechanisms to address them that we can guarantee that those who are the most vulnerabilized will not be left behind. Thank you, says the chair.
I'm very sorry. I am very